All right. Thank you, everyone, for being here. My name is Karina Fernandez. Welcome to Feed the Soul Foundation's Culinary Business Network. And today we have the joy of sitting with Dawn Kelly, who is a dynamic entrepreneur and community leader who transitioned from a 35-year career in global communications to founding the Nourish Spot, a health-focused juice, smoothie, and salad bar in Jamaica, Queens, New York. She started this venture with her daughter Jade, and they aimed to help their community live longer, live more vibrant lives through the power of nutritious food and wellness. And Dawn's journey is really one of grit and growth and the unattainable power of community. What started as a small, healthy food, fast casual eatery in Queens has now grown locally. It has now grown as a locally recognized business, landing opportunities like becoming a vendor at the US Open. Woo woo. And in this session, Dawn will share how she built that authentic relationship with her community and how it's been able to carry her and drive her business growth. She'll share with us real world strategies for leveraging your network. She'll also introduce to us that mindset that you need in order to help scale your business. And for her, going from a local neighborhood stand to a major event. And whether you're just starting your culinary business or you're ready to take things to the next level, we hope that this conversation will tap into real, actionable insight from someone who's been there and done that. And so I'm going to bring to the stage, here we go, Miss Dawn Kelly.
Hi,
Let me know. Hello, my darling. Let me know. Did I leave anything out of your bio or your intro?
No, I think that you covered me just fine. And I appreciate the opportunity to partner with Feed the Soul again and to share my story because I do think that it's a story that people at various stages of their entrepreneur journey can pull some things from, and hopefully it could help motivate them, inspire them, or really give them actionable steps to take in order to grow and expand their business as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this, having these conversations, I think is very important for culinary business owners. We talk about the entrepreneurial journey as a whole, right? But when we talk about hyper specific businesses, and it's like, apples to apples instead of apples to oranges. So before we get started, I want you to tell us a fun fact about you, something I haven't said. Tell us something fun about you.
A fun fact about me is I love to dance.
Okay. You
I
dance
love
some
to dance.
salsa? Or?
Just really free form. Just I love to dance. Like I love music and I love to dance. And one more thing, I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I also love to travel. If I'm
Okay.
not, if I'm not here in New York City, I am gone abroad someplace because I love to travel and I love to try new foods.
Nice, nice. I love that too. So we're gonna jump right in. So you went, this is insane sometimes. You went from being a PR mogul to opening the Nourish Spot. That
Yes.
journey alone is inspiring. So what was that tipping point that made you take that leap to open the Nourish Spot?
Well, the tipping point was two. One was I had lost my job. I've been working since I was 13 years old and I'm in my 60s. And so just the shock of not having the role anymore kind of sent me for a spin, right? I wasn't sure. I didn't know how to manage the feelings wrapped around not having a job. having worked forever, right?
Right.
And then secondarily to that, but probably more important, is that I was on my own health journey. And my doctors were threatening me with a lot of pharmaceutical medicine that I don't like to take.
Right.
I've never been a person that takes pills. I don't like needles, I'm just not that type of person. And so a lot of it had to do with my weight, right? And inflammation in my body. And so I'm a former athlete. That's another little secret.
Okay.
And so I know how to eat right, and I know how to exercise. I know the right things to do. And so I changed my life and I changed my diet. And those two things combined gave me the courage, along with my daughter and my son, to establish the Nourish Spot. And we've been at it now for almost 9 years.
Wow. Wow. And to your point, a lot of us have gone through a similar journey where we leave corporate and, launch a culinary business. And how do you do that with support or without support? You mentioned that it's a family run business. And
Yes.
so starting that business with your daughter, is that correct?
Yes. So honest to goodness, I was afraid to start the business because really in my family, no one had a business as a full-time thing. Like my parents, my father and my mom, they always had side hustles. Like my dad was an electrician, but he worked for the MTA. So he could take on jobs at people's homes and things like that. And then my mother, she worked at a bank, but she loved real estate. So she would, dabble in a little real estate here and there. And so I think that so it comes, I think the need to be in entrepreneurship, I get it honest, but I would say that um I didn't know what I was doing. I just knew that I didn't want to go back to work for
Yeah,
anybody
yeah.
else, right? I'll be honest. And so I was started talking to my daughter about things, and one day I saw a story on the TV about Styles P owning a juice bar in Yonkers, and I was motivated, sort of like how we doing here today. I was motivated by it, shocked by it actually, right? That a rapper,
Mhm.
would have taken steps like that to open up a juice bar. I had never heard anything like that. And so I thought to myself, if Styles P can open up a juice bar, I'm a Howard University educated individual, right? I've worked my whole life. I should be able to cobble something together. And with the help of my daughter Jade, we sat down, we got on LegalZoom. I went to visit people at SCORE and the SBA and the SBDC at York College, and we got the paperwork done. Okay. And then myself, and my son, we established the Nourish Spot together. And opened it up on September 9th, 2017. It took us a little over a year once we got the paperwork set and then to do the build out and everything. But we got it open. And I would be honest, when I got it open, then that's when the tension and the afraidness of the fear really stepped in, because now I have a real business with a key to open the door. And I wasn't sure what a balance sheet was. I wasn't sure, what a profit and loss statement was. I didn't know any of those things, right? I didn't really know about pricing. And so that's when I realized I had to go learn things. And luckily, I had your program and a couple of other programs that were available to me. And I learned. And again, here we are 8 years later.
Yeah, yeah. And touching on that point, what were some of the challenges of building the Nourish Spot with a family member? A lot of our in our network, they go to business, they get into business with a family member. So what were some of those challenges and how did you overcome those?
Well, we still have challenges. I won't say that we don't. So let me back this up a little bit. I am a divorcee. I raised my two children, Owen, who's now 36, I think, and my daughter Jade, who's in her 30s. I raised them together, but it was us, and we called ourselves Three the Hard Way, and we pretty much did everything together. So when I decided that I was going to open up a business, I didn't even think. Right. And I'll be honest, I didn't even think about asking them, are you going to be part of this? Like, I just assumed because we've done everything together forever. It's like they're just going to be part of the business because they're my legacy. Right. And
Mhm.
so I'm going to pull them in some shape, way, or form. And so what I did was I played to their strengths. Okay. My son is a graphic designer, and he liked to hold the money too. Right. So I allowed him to come up with the logo for the Nourish Spot. Right. And then also I gave him the money to go buy all our appliances. We went out, we looked for everything together, he and then I set him up with an account and with the money, and it's your job to manage all of the appliances getting to the Nourish Spot when we need them. And so he managed that because at that time he was in logistics. He was working for UPS. So that's
Okay.
really what he did. So I played to his strength. And then with my daughter Jade, who I'm still in the business with up till today. She is a hospitality expert. She's worked for I was going to say planes, but I mean trains, but she hasn't worked for trains. She's worked for planes. She's worked on ships. She's worked at restaurants. She's worked at the Masters. So she worked at Disney. So my daughter, she actually has the skills and the knowledge about running a restaurant, running a hospitality a business. And so and me, I was the lady with the money, right? And the corporate expertise and the relationships, right? So I knew how to build relationships and things like that. And then I knew how to do the PR and marketing, right? I could do that with my eyes closed. So I think that we had back to Three the Hard Way, we had the best team, right, to get the store open. And together on September 9th, 2017, which was 2 years to the day that my job was eliminated, me, Owen, and Jade cut the ribbon to open the door to the store. And the challenges we face now is just figuring out how to still be mother and daughter and son, and also CEO and CFO, right? And
Right.
COO. So we're working through it. We're working through it. Some days I would say it's much easier now than it used to be,
Right.
because we do have borders and parameters, and I know how to say good morning and good afternoon and not just jump into stuff. But I love it. So I would say there's not a problem that we could have that I'm not willing to work through, because these are my children, right?
Right.
This is why I'm here. My life, I've enjoyed my life, and part of the enjoyment of my life is my children. And
Right.
so setting them up to be successful, that I can't even tell you how that makes me feel. It,
That
it's it's
legacy.
it's right up there with helping my community and all the people in my community be healthier and live longer lives.
Awesome. So you're leaving your legacy behind and you're including your children in it. That's an awesome story. And you also touched on something that I think is worth having that conversation about. We have, when we think about community, it's actually twofold, right? There's the community that we serve, we literally serve them food. And then there's the community that we build around us. And for some small business owners in this industry, we're too busy. We're working day to day without coming up for air. And for you, Dawn, you've done an incredible job at building and fostering a community that supports you within your family and even at the exterior. So, what does the power of community mean to you, and what strategies have you used to really foster that relationship with your community?
Well, I would say that one of the things that I am proud of is that I have long-standing relationships, And so that's the first thing I would say to anybody that's underneath the sound of my voice. Cultivate long-standing relationships. And that means the people that you was in elementary school together with, right? The people that you go to church with, the people that you went to high school or college with. Um, us ladies, we go to get our hair done or our nails done. The women that you meet at the nail salon, or if you have children and you take your son to the barbershop, the people that you meet at the barbershop. I mean, I have not met a person that I don't like. I collect people. And so I really do believe in the power of relationships, which then help you build community. And so the other part of that is all of these different programs that I'm now a part of, like Feed the Soul Foundation. I've met all these different entrepreneurs. And so I also have the power of community with entrepreneurs from all of the programs. And that right there is so beneficial because you have the benefit of all of this knowledge, because we're all managing different lanes, we're all managing different issues, and that, I could pick up the phone and call somebody from Feed the Soul, like Black Coffee, or I could call somebody from my Goldman Sachs class, like Tiffany Murchison, or I could call somebody from Entourage program, a woman named LJ Finney. So there's people that I could call that would pour into me, right? And then on the flip side of that, there's programs. So I'm also part of this community called Central Connections that's attached to a college here in Queens, right? Because I'm attached to that community and I pour information into that community as well. Like when you all have grants, or I find out about training programs, I pour stuff into that. The woman that runs that program, she's always sharing information with me and the other entrepreneurs about how to access assistance with students, or how to go to different events. Like there's a manufacturing event coming up soon that I'm going to go to because this woman thought it not robbery to share that information with me. Okay.
Right.
And so that's the other part of community. It's not just warm bodies that you can lean on when you need, just somebody to say it's going to be all right, tomorrow's another day, but also a person that will share information with you, and it's reciprocal, right? Because reciprocity is important in entrepreneurship, especially in the food business, right? So when you can build communities that are full of reciprocity, that will definitely help you grow and expand as you march along in your entrepreneurial journey.
Right. And you and I have had conversations about the importance of being out there, of being part of these memberships, whether it's your Chamber of Commerce or any local, culinary coalition,
Yes.
is very important. And I know you participated in various small business programs, like you just said, Goldman Sachs, and then you were also part of our Feed the Soul Foundation's restaurant business development program.
Yes.
And you spoke a little bit about how these programs help grow your business, but I want you to tell the audience, why is it important for business owners like ourselves that they take advantage of these programs that are either free, or they give you stipends, they give you grants. Why is it important that we participate in these programs?
Because learning is a lifelong journey. It's important to participate in business accelerated programs like the Restaurant Business Development Program that is offered by Feed the Soul, by the Walkstar program. Oh, I mean, I could go down the line, by the Goldman Sachs program. I've been in the New York PACE program. It's important because these organizations are teaching you the information that you don't know, and the information that you need in order for your business to be effective, efficient, and profitable. Those things are really, really important. And again, it's important to be in these groups because these said groups, their overall mission is to help build and grow and nurture and cultivate small businesses like yours and mine. And so I think I mean, not to be mean, but I think it's dumb not to take advantage of most of these programs that I went through were free. Now, I may not have to pay money, but I did have to invest my time and my attention, right? And engage in programs and talk to my other colleagues in the cohorts. But I enjoyed that. And now I have new friends that I can call on, or that they call on me to say, did you know about this? And did you know about that? And then also, like all of these organizations that you mentioned earlier, including the classes, but like the Queens Chamber of Commerce and the New York Restaurant Association and New York Hospitality Alliance. Those are all organizations that I'm a member of. And because I'm part of that, I'm in the know. I know what's going on in my city. I know what opportunities are, coming down the pike. That's how the Nourish Spot is now a equity partner in JFK Airport, because being part of all of these communities allow us to keep our ear to the ground, right? And our finger on the pulse of what's going on in Jamaica, Queens, and the surrounding areas.
So who's this right here in the middle?
That's me at the program. I went all the way to Texas so I could be part of the program. And that's what needs to happen. People need to invest in themselves and in their business. And you said something important, and I don't want to forget it. One of the things that every single program taught me, but I'm going to give Goldman Sachs the number one credit on this one, is they told us that you can't build your business by working in the business. You got to work on the business. And I would tell you that was such a headbanger for me, right? At first I couldn't get my arms around it, because most often, me growing up, even when I saw people with small businesses, even if they didn't look like me, they were there in the business, like working in the business. So I thought that I'm supposed to be there every day. And then how dare you tell me that I'm not supposed to be in my business? Then what am I supposed to be doing? And then when they said, if you want your business to stay small and not do anything, then that's okay. And that's all right. Because some people just want a small business in a community that opens at 9 and closes at 5, and that's all they want. And you have a right to want what you want. Okay. But I had bigger dreams for the Nourish Spot, right? My dreams when I graduated out of each of my programs, it was the same. I wanted to see the Nourish Spot in stadiums. I wanted to see the Nourish Spot in schools. I wanted to see the Nourish Spot in airports near you. That's exactly what I told people. And I can legitimately say
you've done it,
that all of those things have occurred. Every single goal that I set forth for the Nourish Spot, sans one that we're working on, COVID got in the way, okay? But every single one we've been able to do. And it is because of the relationships and the communities that we are in, as well as doing a great job when we get the opportunity to be there.
So what's on this screen?
Oh my gosh. That is Jade and I at our concession at the US Open, which until soccer takes over is the largest sporting event in the United States of America. And we have been there for 3 years, 2022, 2023, and 2024. We're still waiting to find out if we're returning in 2025. My prayers are still up, okay? And my fingers are crossed. But it has been such a marvelous opportunity. We were the first Black-owned business from Jamaica, Queens, ever given the opportunity to have a concession at the US Open since its establishment.
Wow, that is something to be proud of. And JFK too.
Yes, JFK is just a whole different story.
It's a whole different story and ball game. So tell us, how did this even happen? Like, we know you're everywhere, so someone must have seen you, and someone, those connections, because that power of community, right? How did
Yes.
this happen? Yeah.
So the us being in the US Open is, I'm telling you, it's a dream come true. Our first big concession opportunity was at Forest Hill Stadium in Queens, not too far from the US Open site. And we found out that the organizers of Forest Hill Stadium, the hospitality partner, is Levy. And we found out that Levy also partnered with the USTA. And so we reached out. We kept asking our partners at Forest Hills, how we get to the US Open? How we get to the US Open? And they're like, can you all just chill right here for a little while? Right? So we worked with Forest Hills 2019, 2020, 2021. Okay. And so in 2021, they told us that they were changing things around and that the following year we wouldn't be there. But what happened was they kind of just moved us over to their friends over at USTA, and somebody else went into our space at Forest Hill Stadium, and we ended up at the
The US
USTA,
Open.
at the US Open. And I would just tell you that it was us talking, just anybody that would listen, anybody that I knew had something to do with the US Open, Congress people, my city council people, my New York state legislators. I was just telling anybody that I knew had some sway in New York City that these were my goals and objectives for the Nourish Spot. And I feel like when you equip people with your wants and your desires, and you're a good person in your community, you're making a positive impact, then people will work with you to make your dreams for your business come true. And I
Yeah.
know for a fact that while we ask for the opportunity, that the universe and the people that we've partnered with and worked with, it conspired to help us make that happen.
Awesome. So your persistentness, your willingness. So these are strategies, right? That a business owner has to really implement and really change that mindset of I I represent my business, and in representing my business, I need to be anywhere that I can, right? And
Yeah.
talk to people and make sure that they know who I am, because at some point they're going to think, "Oh, I remember so and so. They
Yes.
have, and that's where some of these opportunities arise." And how has being at the US Open benefited your business to grow? And you talked about that vision, that long-term vision, but how has this impacted your business overall being at the US Open?
Being at the US Open has been game changing for the Nourish Spot, because other operators of large scale venues know that they could take a chance on us because we've succeeded 3 consecutive years in a row at the largest sporting event in the world.
Got it.
So that's how it helps. In addition, we get opportunities. Like last year, we got invited to American Express is the huge sponsor for one of the huge sponsors for the US Open. And so they have like, big rooms and activations all over the site. We were invited to their women's event. They had a Women's Day event, and Jade and I were invited to be with them all day. Now that works because we have staff that runs our concession. I don't have to stay in my concession the whole time. So, I go, I check to make sure everything's going on. And, I stay on the grounds because I like tennis, right? But I can, we can meander through and, check out what's going on. And so we went to the event. And in that room, we were introduced to everybody there. And it was women in sports. So it was women with tennis, with golf, with basketball, with everything. And we were also introduced to an organization called Support and Feed, which through American Express. And that organization works with Billie Eilish,
The
the
singer.
singer. Yeah.
Nice, nice.
Okay. And now we're a partner with Support and Feed. And so twice a month, or sometimes 3 times a month, we do programs with them. And it's a wonderful program because they they are partnering with small businesses, small plant-based restaurants to provide food to people who need it through nonprofits that are helping those people. So it's like a triumvirate, if you will, like a
Yeah.
triage, right? So we help them find the nonprofits, then the nonprofits and them work together, and then they decide what kind of food they want, and then they pay us to provide the food. Let me tell you something. It works marvelously. I love the people. I've met Billy's mother. And it's just lovely because she's a mother of a son and a daughter, and I'm the mother of a son and a daughter. So we have this connection, and that just goes back to building and cultivating
Mm-hmm.
relationships, because we're not just connected around food. We're connected around being moms. We're connected around talented children. We're connected around just the mere fact that we know that there's a lot of hungry people in this world, and there's a chaotic situation in this world, and we both want to help. So
Yeah.
I tell you, like, if I tell anybody anything, join your local chamber of commerce. Join, like, and I say these things over and over, right? Join your local chamber of commerce. Join your hospitality alliance group in your city or town. Like, I'm a member of the Urban League in my area.
Mm-hmm.
And they have me teaching entrepreneurship to people, right? They pay me a stipend to get on a line like this with you and
Right.
talk about entrepreneurship with people. I'm working in schools. Like, all of these things happen because I get out of the Nourish Spot. I got out of the Queens store. I got out of the Brooklyn store when we had the Brooklyn store, and I engage with others. And this is what I say, because this is funny. People will say, why are you here? Like, this is about AI, or why are you here? This is about engineering. And you know what I say? Everybody has to eat.
Mm, mm,
And don't you want to eat more healthily? And
right.
so that's why I show up at places where people may think I don't belong.
Belong
Food belongs everywhere.
everywhere. Yep. Yep. I agree. And I'm going to put a picture up on the stage as well. And here you are at our global culinary conference. You sat on a panel and we talked about business growth and opportunities. And what I want to touch on now is the flip side, right? And still looking at the power of community. But as business owners, we love to talk about the success aspects, right, of the business and how we built it and that journey. But it's not an easy journey. And there are some times where we just want to crawl in a hole and just cry, right?
Yes.
And another thing that we want to hear and have these conversations of how do you get out of those challenging times of either wanting to step away from the business or just wanting to quit. What strategies have you used, right? And you did touch upon it a little bit during the conference of what do you do, or how do you lean on your support system to get out of those holes?
Well, I would tell you, I've had quite a few holes over the journey. Most recently with the opening. Hold on, let me say it this way. Most recently with the grand opening and grand closing of our store in Brooklyn. So we tried to expand with a subsidiary of the Nourish Spot called the Nourish Spot BK in Brooklyn, and it just didn't work. And I would tell you, I was so sad over it because I'm an overachiever. You know, I work hard and I do probably more than most
Right.
to make things happen. And we just couldn't make this business work the way it needed to work. And so oftentimes I was sad, you know, I would cry. I would go, you know, I would come home, I would be in my room, I wouldn't really talk to anybody. But what I do is I pray. So I lean on my faith. And I do know like there's a bunch of scriptures that I hold tight to my heart
Right.
that when I'm down, uh, I remember them and I reflect. So as I mentioned earlier, I'm older than most, right? So I do have the opportunity to reflect over my life, right?
Right. Right.
And if I'm really honest with you today, everything works out. Everything works out. There's not one situation that I could really say that didn't work out. It may
Right.
not have worked out to the perfect way I wanted it to work
Right.
out, but it worked out to my benefit, right? It did. It
Right.
worked out to my benefit. So the first thing is I cling to my faith. But then I got a good girlfriend that's been my friend for over 35 years. Okay. And when I need to cry, scream, shout, laugh, whatever, I pick up the phone and I call her or I text her and say, can I need to vent. I need to talk.
Right.
Right. Can you listen? So her name is Prudence. I'm going to say it right now. And so she takes my calls. Okay. I sleep. The other thing is a good night's rest will change the world. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes we're so stressed out, right, that we can't even think straight.
Right.
So oftentimes I will just go put the covers over my head and say to myself, tomorrow's a new day. Okay. But most importantly, I think what I do is I make time for me, right? I get away from New York City. I like to travel, okay? And I think that all work and no play, I think this is how the saying goes, all work and no play makes Johnny or Joanna a dull person, okay?
Right.
So I think that all business owners, we have to make time for our self-care, okay?
Amen. Yes.
Going to the doctor, the eye doctor, dentist, like all of the things that you're supposed to do. And I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to me too, right? We
Right.
we have to do these things. Like, and for ladies, go get your nails done. Go, you need to feel good, right? Because entrepreneurship will take everything from you. It's just like being a parent. Okay. Now I'm a parent. I don't know if you are, but if you're a parent, you know that when you have children, it takes everything from you. You have to give everything to it. And I believe that owning your own business is even harder because
Mm-hmm.
with children, you're not really paying taxes on it, right? You don't have no paperwork, right? With businesses, you got paperwork, you got to pay your taxes, you got to pay your bills. Like there's all these ancillary things on top of the main thing. And so you really, really, really have to have faith. You have to have people that you can talk to. You got to be determined. You got to self-care has to be important, and make time for yourself and get out and get away, because you know what else? This is how I feel. When I get out and get away, then when I come back to the business, I'm more rejuvenated and re-energized about it. And oftentimes I got new ideas that I brought from sightseeing or clearing my brain from the every single day responsibilities. So those are my ideas.
Yeah. So I heard a lot in there. So self-care is one of them when you're in these deep holes and the challenges and how you get out of them. And also just taking a breather, stepping away, and then looking at it again, but with fresh eyes, right? And going on to those strategies and how you've been able to foster those yourself. After 35 years in corporate communication, what skills have you transferred over to being a successful small business owner?
The skills I've transferred over from corporate world, one is organization. I'm mad organized. Like I keep lists, right?
I love that.
Because with entrepreneurship, there's always some little thing you forgot.
Yep.
So I'm always like checking stuff off, writing it down, checking it off, right? So that's the first thing. Second thing is the whole relationship building thing. If I learned anything in corporate America, it's about who knows you and who will vouch for you.
I
Okay.
like that. Who knows
So
you and who will vouch for you?
yes, because when I was younger, somebody told me it's about who you know. No, it is not about who you know, because you can know people and they act like they don't know you. Okay.
Right.
So
Right.
it's the people who know you. And when your name is mentioned, they will vouch positively for you. Okay. So that's something that I think that people need to understand. And then you need to find some courage and some bravery. Okay. Because entrepreneurship is all like almost 100% about the ask, the
Mm,
ASK. Okay. If you're not willing to ask for what you want, and me as a PR person, I got to ask these reporters to cover my story, right?
right.
I got to ask people like Steve Cohen, who owns City Field, can I have a Nourish Spot in City Field? Okay. I got to ask for that. Okay. I got to ask the head of the Chamber of Commerce to introduce me to somebody. Okay.
Got it.
So that is, and a lot of people, I mean, I'll be honest, for a long time, I didn't have the balls either to do it, honestly, right? Because, what if they tell you no? Oh, what are you going to do? Right.
Right.
So
How'd you get over that?
I just listen, you just get over, you just don't take it, you don't take it personal. And it's like I double dare myself. Like if I don't do it, if you don't do it, if you don't ask, you can't play. If you don't, like my father always taught me this. My father was a betting man. God rest his soul, he's not here anymore. And so he used to bet on the horses and on in lotto and all of that, right? And so I would say to him, "But you didn't win. You didn't win. You lost $100. You didn't win." And my father would say to me, if you don't play, you can't win. So if you don't
Mm,
have a dollar in it, you're not gonna win either. Okay. And
hmm.
so I use that same idea.
Mentality.
Yes. And it's like if I don't ask for what I want, if I don't ask about whatever it is that I need, then I can't get it. And
Right.
so I ask. And if people tell me no, this is what I think. No is not yet. It's not
Oh, I like that. I like
okay.
that.
It's just not yet, not now. Okay. So I'm going to circle back to you once I got things in place and I think I have a better offer, then I'll
Right.
come back. And usually that no turns into a yes.
Awesome. 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 And speaking of no's and yeses and doing the follow up, and we love this because you've credited social media as a powerful tool on how you strategically use both Instagram and LinkedIn to do that follow up. So
Yes.
tell us how you've built meaningful connections on these platforms and what advice you give to others about using or leveraging right social media to grow either your audience or to make your business more visible. Tell
Well,
me, well, we could start with the follow up on LinkedIn and how you do that because you do that so well. You're like, thank you for meeting me at so and so.
I do. So, all right, this is another corporate secret. So, whenever you go to these events, oftentimes, I mean, nowadays with technology, people tap in phones and stuff. But if you're at a place where people still giving out their business cards, right? One of the things that I would challenge every single one of you to do is when you get home that night, right on the back of that business card, the date you met that person, and something about the conversation that you had, right? So that when you follow up with them using LinkedIn, because that's the best place to follow up with people, especially business related, you can bring their memory back to you. Okay. So I haven't been as good this year, but I try to do that within 2 to 3 days, no more than a week, because people meet people every day. And so
Every
it's
day.
really hard to keep up. Right.
Right.
So I use LinkedIn, and I will say, it was a pleasure to meet you at the Global Culinary Conference on Saturday. It was a joyful, or thanks for sharing that tip about the magazine with me, right? Like whatever it is, right? And I hope you will link in with me here. And more times than not, people say yes. Okay. And this is a way to keep up with people. So I have people in my LinkedIn from 1985, because that's when
wow.
whenever it started, that's when I started. And so, and every once in a while, I will go on LinkedIn, say on a day when I'm not doing anything, I don't have any craziness on my calendar, I'll go on LinkedIn and pick out a couple of people and just write to them. Hey, how you doing? Haven't talked to you in a while. Let me tell you what I'm doing. Reach out to me if you're interested. And so that's how I keep in touch with people on LinkedIn. And then also anything that I can promote on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, I can also promote on LinkedIn. So while I have my own page, there's a page for Dawn Kelly.
Right.
There's also a page for the Nourish Spot on LinkedIn. Why? Because LinkedIn is the business social media. Okay. And I want to be hired by businesses. Okay.
Right.
I want to be hired by the Estee Lauders of the world. Yes. I want to be hired by the Nikes of the world. Yes. I want to be hired by the Bloombergs of the world. Yes. Okay. And so if they don't see you on LinkedIn, they can't reach out to you. And so, and then the other part of that is when I'm outside and I'm in these environments networking, I can say to people, they say, "Oh, what do you do? Oh, I own a business. We're on LinkedIn. You can look for us at the Nourish Spot. You can follow me at Dawn Kelly, and you can follow the business, right? So you don't even have to pass cards or anything like that, right? It's just immediate connection. So
Here,
I really love.
We'll put one up really quickly too. We put a banner up. Connect with Dawn at the Nourish Spot.
Yes, I really love LinkedIn. I recommend it wholeheartedly to entrepreneurs to make a page for their businesses on LinkedIn and keep it populated. Tell the world what's going on with your business. And that's what I do. Every so often I'm up there, I'm talking about a special day, like it was Banana Day the other day, right? So I was like, it's National Banana Day, right? And I promote one of our smoothies, okay? Or if I'm like, we haven't gotten a lot of catering events, catering opportunities in a little while, I'll go up and I'll put up a catering, like, a catering promotion. So I do that on Instagram as well as LinkedIn. I think those are the best two platforms when you're doing food stuff. Now I think TikTok is good too, but I'm just not on it as much. You need more staff to do all of them.
Right. And one more thing we'll touch, because we'll wrap it up in a little bit. But one more thing I wanted to kind of touch on social media as a powerful tool to build that community and to storytell. You've done a great job of storytelling on these platforms as well. And how do you keep up with it? Some business owners might have, marketing teams to do it. Some do it on their own. So you doing it on your own, how have you been able to do it on your own and really tell the story of the Nourish Spot?
Well, I'm going to say in the beginning, it was just me, just knowing from my years of doing PR and marketing how important it is for you to drill home the fact that you exist. And this has to do, it doesn't matter if it's a restaurant, an individual, an issue, a brand, this is just my PR. If the world doesn't know you exist, you don't. So if you're not constantly telling, because we live in information overload. Do you know how many people, things are competing for you and my eyes and ears? Oh my God, it's so much. So in order for you to come out of the noise, you have to make sure that you are always talking about yourself somewhere. And when I say yourself, your business, and you as the business's brand imagery, right? And so the stories I tell are the ones I know that are important to the world at large. And so if anybody's listening to me and you want to make sure that you a reporter wants to talk to you, you need to talk about how what you're doing is benefiting the end user. And who's the end user? The customer. Okay. The customer is your customer and the journalist customer. Okay. So whoever my nourishers are customers of Fox News and ABC News and the radio stations, right? And the newspapers, right? So whatever information that I want to get to them, I have to make sure that the reporter knows that it's beneficial to the audience, to our audience, okay?
Got it.
Because we have a joint audience, okay? And so my job is always to think about what the journalist might be interested in, and then how the end user, you and me as the customer, would use that information. So let's just talk about Easter Sunday, okay? All businesses could have talked about Easter Sunday in some way, shape, or form about the whole risen, right? And then also about healthy and changing, and you gotta find the angle. Okay? The angle, okay? I always look for what's the national day, right? So like it was National Banana Day, it was National Climate Day, it's national, I don't know. It's always some day, right? And so I use those dates. I use those to promote the business on social media as well as with journalists, okay? The other part is telling your story. Journalists and the public at large are all interested in entrepreneurship stories. They want to know, how, I know they want to know how I got here. They're like, where the hell did you get the courage to create something like that? Because maybe they're like, maybe I could create it, right? But if they don't see anybody or hear anybody saying, yeah, it was hard. Oh, I was scared, but I still did it.
Right.
If they hear that, then that would help them want to do it too.
Right. So looking ahead, right, we have about four more minutes. Looking ahead, what's next for you and the Nourish Spot? Are there any new projects, expansions, or anything in the horizon other than, you know, the U.S. Open, JFK, and your Jamaica Queens? Oh, and then you're at the schools now. Tell us.
Yeah. So I would say right now, my dreams, if I'm honest to goodness about my dream is to get our salad dressing finally bottled. Like that, we put that back on the back burner during COVID because all of the co-packing houses was closing down. You know, everybody was scared. So I want to bring that back, right? So I'm hoping that we can bring that to the marketplace and bottle. So that's number one. Number two is I want to give the Nourish Spot a facelift.
Okay.
You know, we've been open now almost 9 years. And so I have this beautiful way I would love for it to look. So that's my second thing. I would like to give it a facelift. And then third, we're working every day on operations, right? Just trying to get tighter in terms of the way we do things. You know, have better job descriptions so people know what they're responsible for and what they're being reviewed for. You know, that back to my corporate hat, you know, I want to pay people for performance, right? So I want to bring some of that structure into the Nourish Spot now, because we made it over the 3 to 5 year mark, right? Most small businesses don't make it past 5 years, and especially most Black owned small businesses, right? And so Karina, I'm just proud. I'm proud. We made it, and
we're so proud of you.
And we're gonna keep going. We're gonna keep going.
Yes, absolutely. So this is to wrap it up. All right. You've shared some great examples of how you've connected with your community and your experience in, you know, making those connections along your journey, both at corporate world and now into entrepreneurship. So what are some key things that business owners should keep in mind when developing strategies to engage their community while they're wanting to grow their business? Give us like 2 or 3 strategies that you really hold dear to you that have helped you, generate or foster that community?
Um,
How do
I
they
would
engage
say
your community?
I would say because I enjoy a uh really close, tight knit relationship with the Jamaica Queens community. I think you gotta I think that you have to make sure that the community knows that you and your business really stand on business for the community at large. So you got to be where the community is, and I know for a fact my community knows that because I bring resources to the table. I just don't bring the Nourish Spot and say pay me. I bring resources to my community that they can then use to help more people in the community, hence support and feed, right? So I brought that to my community. And then I would say also is just be helpful. Like I'm very helpful. Like we use our social media not just to promote what we're doing, but like we talk to our customers. So like when customers come in and they tell us they working on something and they doing something, we tell that story in our social media, right? We'll
Right.
say, like we have a woman who lives across the street from the store. She has her own nonprofit. And so when she comes in to get her turmeric shots, because we know that's what she comes to get, right? When she comes to get her turmeric shots, sometimes she lets us take a picture of her, and I will talk about her nonprofit to people. And
Mm.
as a result of that, she will get contacted through social media for opportunities, whether somebody want to work with her, somebody wants her help, somebody wants to bring money to her. So those are the things that we do. And I believe that the whole reciprocity, one hand washes each other, right? And that's what it's all about. When your community knows that they can look to you for reciprocity, and the same, you can do the same with the community, everybody wins.
Awesome. Awesome. This was great. And we're so proud of you. And
Thank
what
you.
is, because you said something ask. So, what is the one ask that you want to put out to the universe right now?
The one ask that the Nourish Spot would like to put out on the universe right now is we are looking for a co-packing manufacturing partner. We would like to bring our dressings, our proprietary made dressings to the marketplace. And we need a partner that can help us do that. Please reach out to us at the Nourish Spot. Thank you.
Yes. We'll see about that ask. All
Yay!
right, Dawn. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. This is our
Thank you.
first mastermind with the Culinary Business Network. And again, to everyone, remember you are not alone in this journey. And when you thrive, we all thrive. And so thank you, Dawn, for helping us on that journey to thrive.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And
All right.
together
Yes.
we will.
Yes. We're gonna get you that co-packer. All right. So
Yay!
yeah, we do have some, so we'll reach out to them. Next Monday, April 28th, we're gonna have our Let's Toast, which is our virtual happy hour, same place, same time, and we'll see you all soon. Bye. Thank you.